I was reading some tweets, from both sides and just trying to do it all. And I read some tweets from U.S. veterans. And they basically said, listen, it's a free country, and I fought for the rights to kneel or stand. Military doesn't own the flag, the American people do. And when I heard it come from the mouth of a military member themselves, then I realized, Jean-Paul, that, it's I think it's actually kind of responsible for all human beings to say, listen, I might not ever kneel. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. But of course, if people feel the need now to protest in that way and make a difference and help raise awareness, and that's their form, and look what it's done. Look at this great healthy conversation start. Then that's a good thing too. And I would never discourage anyone from doing it, but I might not do it.
On the Todd Shapiro Show, SiriusXM 168.
There's big stuff going on this weekend with the NFL and the kneeling of the national anthems. It obviously everyone knows it started with Colin Kaepernick, who didn't get hired this year, and a lot are obviously equating it to has nothing to do with his quality of play or his ability, but it has everything to do with the fact that owners didn't want the headache of a guy like that stirring up some political messages as opposed to just playing the football. And that's sort of the rumor behind it. And now this year, the players have completely bonded together, and especially with Trump's absolutely crazy fucking tweets.
But I think that was a catalyst for it. You know what I mean? Like before, they was still kind of half and half. As like, I get what the point is, but somehow Trump managed to unify for once. Some people that were like, "Fuck it, we're not taking this anymore, and we're going to stand up against what we think is wrong." And how dare you? And I think the problem, and a lot of the NFL guys, I honestly want to believe, probably feel a little defensive as being called son of a bitches, as well as just glorified millionaires. And it's like, no, man, there's more to us than what we do and how much we make. We're real people.
Well, and there's so much, like Trump's tweets, there's so much different response coming from them, where he'll tweet out, "Courageous patriots have fought and died for our great American flag. We must honor, respect it, make America great again." He talks about, obviously, that he's pleased to inform everyone that the Penguins are coming. They're a great team. He talks about how kneeling is not acceptable and bad ratings for the NFL. The attendance is way down. If NFL fans refuse to go to games until players stop disrespecting the flag in our country, we'll see a change take place, fire or suspend, which now other activist groups are saying that he can't do. He's exploiting, and they're making a human rights violation call against him for doing that. He talked about Goodell of the NFL just put out a statement trying to totally disrespect certain players, showing to our country, tell them to stand. He has not stopped. He is completely not stopped. So, Jean-Paul, what are your just sort of just your average take on this?
On the whole situation from the inception of Colin to now?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough in 2 hours to really do this, but
I mean, my breakdown is one, it's unfortunate that Kaepernick is like you said. I think they're trying to make an example of him, as well as they just don't want to have to deal with the headache. Because I mean, people don't like to fuck with their money. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to fuck with mine, but my whole thing is I completely understand, and I find it ironic. Yes, and thank God a lot of people are starting to say it now, at the fact that he's exercising his First Amendment. So the same people that you say he's disrespecting, he's technically, oddly enough, respecting by exercising the right that they fought for to give him to be able to do that. And my whole thing is, what I hate about the generation or the society we live in the last couple decades or the last decade is that we're not allowed to have difference of opinions. Like everybody has to think the same way, and what it does is it alleviates or just completely takes away conversation, and we don't have conversations
healthy debates.
Anymore. Yes,
we don't have healthy debates.
And I don't expect you to think the same way as I do.
Exactly.
And it would be stupid.
But let's share it in more than 140 characters.
Yes.
And let's try to learn about each other. And over time, maybe let it sink in.
Agreed.
Maybe I've done a lot of thinking over this weekend. And do you have Drew Brees' statement? Do you have it somewhere?
In one of these tabs.
In one of them? Because I found this an interesting one. And then I've sort of, at first I thought, like, yeah, I kind of totally agree with what he says. But then I even changed my own mind after hearing this. And that was just me having a debate in my own head.
But again, you need to hear it in order to debate it.
So
with
let's
yourself.
Because I thought this was, at first I thought this was the this to me at first, and I'll explain after, was the most rational of statements. Have a listen.
Actually, before we start, I'm just going to go ahead and answer the Trump question right now, okay? I disagree with what the president said and how he said it. I think it's very unbecoming of the office of the President of the United States to talk like that, to degrade people like that. And obviously, he's disappointed a lot of people. As far as the national anthem protest, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Well, let me say this first. Do I think that there's inequality in this country? Yes, I do. Do I think that there's racism? Yes, I do. I think there's inequality for women in the workplace. I think that there's inequality for people of color, for minorities, for immigrants. But as it pertains to the national anthem, I will always feel that if you are an American, that the national anthem is the opportunity for us all to stand up together, to be unified, and to show respect for our country, to show respect for what it stands for, the birth of our nation. There will always be issues with our country. There will always be things that we're battling.
Anyway, that's sort of...
And we should all be striving to make...
So when I heard that at first, I was like, here's a guy addressing all the issues, but also saying respect the anthem and stand up for it. So Jean-Paul, I thought that was the best way of saying it, okay? Mm-hmm. And that's me personally then at that point realizing that that's my personal view, not understanding what anyone else's plight has been, and nor should I, because let's face it, I'm not black. How could I? Yeah. How could I? Yeah. So I don't know. I'll never know. And nor will I ever know. I'll never, all I can do is try to understand it without actually feeling it. I can't feel it.
Well, you can't have empathy for something that, you'll never experience.
Well,
right?
and I have empathy, obviously I do have tons of empathy for it. I just don't know, when I say I would, my thoughts now are I would stand. But I would stand because in my mind, I'm going, I stand because I'm totally all about honoring our sort of first emergency responders, especially our soldiers, doing things because I'm a fucking pussy that I could never do that they do for my rights and freedoms, and especially our soldiers. But then, and the reason why I sort of preface this with, I had this own debate going on in my head. I started reading some tweets this weekend, and I was reading some tweets, from both sides and just trying to do it all. And I read some tweets from US veterans. And they basically said, listen, it's a free country, and I fought for the rights to kneel or stand. Military doesn't own the flag, the American people do. And when I heard it come from the mouth of a military member themselves, then I realized, Jean-Paul, that, it's kind of, I think, it's actually kind of responsible for all human beings to say, listen, I might not ever kneel. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. But of course, if people feel the need now to protest in that way and make a difference and help raise awareness, and that's their form, and look what it's done. Look at this great healthy conversation start. Then that's a good thing too. And I would never discourage anyone from doing it, but I might not do it. There was that one football player on the Steelers. Who, Pedro, I'm talking here. Okay.
Pedro, who are you talking to?
And he was a veteran, and he came out into the tunnel while Tomlin said that his whole team had decided they just don't even want to get political at all, so they're not even coming out for the anthem. And maybe that was his decision, and he didn't disrespect the others for not. And I think maybe this is the most important thing, which I believe you're kind of saying, I think, which is let's just sort of agree to disagree. It doesn't mean we hate each other, but let's at least learn about why people are doing this as opposed to shoving it down and pushing it down.
And that's always been my problem. And again, I don't want to act like I'm jumping on what do they call them? SJW, social justice warriors or whatever. I don't know what they're called. But what I never agree with, and I've always hated, and I've always even found more offensive, even if it had to deal with whether it be racism or sexism or classism or anything like that, is when somebody is offended on your behalf. Yeah. And I'm like, I find it even more offensive that you're telling me I'm too stupid to be offended.
It's condescending.
I'm too stupid to be offended for my own self, and thank you for telling me that I was too stupid to be offended, and now I'm offended that so. I think all the art of conversation and the art of discussion and the art of disputes and being able to just have healthy debate, like you said, and I dare I say, I hate it all the time. I say social media has and it's just ruined everything because there's no context. Like, it's funny that we text each other, but there's no context within the text. You remove the CON and it's just words. So I can't tell what you mean, what your feelings are. And now I have to, figure this out. It's like, well, why would they send this? And you could not necessarily even mean anything remotely that's going through my head. And we just need to learn how to talk again, man. And actually, I lie. We need to learn how to listen again. That's what we need to do. We need to learn how to listen.
As Ari Goldkind calls it, anti-social media, which I find is, it's like, and I don't know why so many people need, and maybe we're lucky. You can vent through comedy routines and I can kind of vent through the radio show. So maybe we're lucky that we have these platforms, whereas others only have that to feel like they need to get their opinions out. But I'm amazed that they, that so many people want to start wars over these things with not realizing it's not achieving it. Like how is it? I would much rather say, why don't we get a group and do some sort of town hall at a function and get together and have this conversation and let's have equal representatives from all sides and get to know what people are thinking and try and learn and let's have some drinks while we do it.
And that's why I love comedy. That's why I love hanging around comedians. But not the. And then there's the new school comedians that are, some of the social justice warriors, and you can't say this and you can't label this. And again, I'm old school. I'm completely old school, but I remind people. One, I live my life through context and intention. So what my intention is and the context of what I say, we can discuss that. So for you to immediately say, if I say this and you go, no, you're saying this and you mean this, it's like, no, man, you don't know me enough to know that, this is, and you don't know anything about me and how I live my life to even remotely accuse me of anything like that. So, but I love being around comedians that, because there's no filter. And I love
there's
that
so much genuine nature. There's so much authenticity. And the other thing is, comedians are the fucking best at this, which makes, and I tell everyone who comes in here on the show, the co-hosts that come in who are comedians, I say, I'm bored outside of this 2 hours, really, because no one else has these types of conversations because you guys smell the bullshit too.
And people are afraid to say what's on their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, they're so. Oh my God, it's going to affect my income. It's going to affect this.
It's a social faux pas, and I can't say exactly because we're about to be judged, and I can't have people thinking about me like this. And I'm like, why can't you have people thinking about you?
What do you care?
As who you really are as a person,
and be proud of that. And you know what? And even if your statements are fucking disgusting, people are going to help you though.
Yeah.
People are going to actually fucking help you somehow here. So
but
be
I
honest.
respect honesty, regardless of how fucked up it is.
Yep.
If that's your reality, then now I have to see where the inception of your reality starts and almost try to find the bridge between to kind of sort of understand where you're coming from, as fucked up as I may think it is, but to you, it's completely normal.
So here's my honesty, and I don't know if this statement sounds naive, but one of the things I was thinking after kind of coming back from my original opinion, which was similar to Drew Brees, which is everyone should stand, you should never not stand, and I'm like, no, I totally get it, people now, I totally understand it. It's just something I wouldn't do, but I don't mind if other people do it at all. I think it's great. It's a great way to express themselves, like you said, your First Amendment, which is all we have, and that's the most important one. But then I thought, I put it on in my mind. I'm like, how about on the monetary side of all of this? Because sadly, I find this world so fucked up, Sean Paul, that everything, and I hate saying this, but I believe this, everything comes down to money. Like it's so fucking sad, but everything comes down to money. What about a pledge from a lot of these players who granted, they work hard for everything they get, okay? They work hard for every single thing they get because to be the top 300 at a sport or the top 800 at a sport, like that's the top 800 in the fucking world. So you deserve all that money. Because if I was the top 300 radio shows, then I would want that money too, And well, I kind of am, but I'm not getting the money. What the fuck am I doing wrong? Anyway, but I thought, well, what about a pledge to maybe help donate more money to causes like encouraging voter turnout, or like not only just kneel, but like, and make that difference on social media, but also say like, let's get programs in place to make sure that there's no way a guy like Donald Trump could ever get in power in the first place. Is that unrealistic of me or wrong of me to think that maybe we could help by giving more money to these things?
I don't think it is, because I mean, and that's the ironic part about this whole Colin Kaepernick thing. Nobody talks about the money that he has, his own money.
I know he did $1 million.
Yes.
I know that. Yeah.
And he's still doing that. Like, he's still giving to, he's pledging to the, and it's not just one organization. It's to veterans, it's to inner city kids, it's to,
What a beauty.
To buy like computers and stuff like that for inner city kids so that they can learn technology. So he's literally putting his money where the money that he's not making where his mouth is. So even going through the persecutions of, you piece of shit, how dare you disrespect, but nobody is talking about the actual good that this guy is doing. And all he ever wanted to do was create conversation.
Which he's done.
And awareness.
Yep.
But it's taken, sadly, a year later, Donald Trump to tweet some bullshit in order for all of a sudden the real conversation to almost start happening now.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because why didn't a bunch of these teams kneel right when he kneeled?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a very fair look on both sides, saying, hey, why did it take the president going down this route for all of us really to get involved? And maybe that's just the way this stuff works. It's funny because LeBron also stated he called Trump a bum. and I actually love LeBron. Like LeBron, I think he is just so well spoken and he's very grounded and he's always calm. He addresses those statements. About calling Trump a bum here.
Is there any regret that you got into a name?
Is it finding it? Is that all the internet's doing?
Sorry.
Is it a slow internet day?
Apparently, this is a 1 minute video.
The internet's taking a knee.
It's fucking Nazis again. They own the internet. Is it coming, Blau? It's not coming?
I'm going to do a reload. There we go.
That you got into a name calling situation with the president?
No. A name calling. What'd I say? Let me hear you say it.
Called him a bum.
It's not a name call. It's no, you bum. Me and my friends call each other that all the time. I'm not his friend though. I don't want to see that on the note. He's not my friend.
Hey,
no, that was the first thing that when I woke up and saw what he said about Steph Curry. First of all, it's so funny because it's like you invite me to your party, right? But matter of fact, it's not like you invited me. It's almost like, Tom, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not coming. And then you be like, hey, LeBron, guess what? You're not invited. I wasn't coming anyways. So that was funny to me when I woke up and saw that. So my first initial response was, you bum. I can't.
Anyway, that's really it. But so Jean-Paul, what are your thoughts on LeBron?
I'm in your camp as well. I've been a perennial fan of LeBron since he was in high school, and the reason I jumped on the LeBron bandwagon was when he was playing in high school. I happened to be doing shows in Florida, and I was amazed at the fact that they were pay-per-viewing his high school games.
Wow.
And then right after that, he was obviously going into, leaving high school and going straight into the NBA. And what I didn't appreciate about pretty much 99.9% of the sportscasters, and I'm not going to go into the whole they were white dudes or they were these dudes or whatever, but what I didn't appreciate the fact that they were denigrating a kid and saying he'll never make it, and this guy's got no jump shot, and he's got no chance, and he's horrible, and only because this guy was getting the profile he was as a high school athlete, and they just didn't think that he deserved it. And I said, you can't talk about a kid like that. I mean, you never say that about tennis players. Tennis players, they don't go to college. They come straight out of high school and they go straight onto the tour. They never say that stuff about them. So I've been a huge fan of his, and to the same way you said, to watch the way he's carried himself in spite of the detractors, the haters, the people who have said, and everything that he's done, everybody else has done, like leave teams. Like Charles Barkley chased a ring forever by leaving the Sixers, and then he went to the West Coast, and then he went back to the East Coast, just because he wanted to get a ring. So what I don't see what the problem with LeBron doing the exact same thing. And at least the difference between as Hall of Fame as Charles Barkley is, dare I say, LeBron is still one of the best I will probably ever see in my lifetime.
Oh, of course.
And I've seen a lot. I've seen the Jordans. I've seen the Magic Johnsons. I've seen the Larry Birds. All the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars. But LeBron is by far probably one of the greatest man-children I've ever seen in my entire life.
just a force. The only thing, and this is what I'll say, as a big LeBron fan, and then we'll get to Melissa Rolston for the Bovida Inc. report, bovidainc.com, for the two-way humidity control pack to talk about legalization, more easygoing stuff, man. But it's funny because he's all about obviously love and being divisive, all divisive, LeBron is about representing everyone. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder, this is the only thing I wonder, does he need to call the president a bum to be effective? I think he's above that. That, and that's the only I really do believe that he's above stooping down to that level where he could do it in a way that is almost, we go back to the word condescending, he can be condescending towards the president, I think, in ways that don't call him anything. And that if I was, say, his agent or in his camp or his buddy, I'd be like, LeBron, you don't got to go and call. I know it's funny, and don't get me wrong, it made me laugh and stuff. I love it. But I just think that, I do think that there is a way to do it where it's he doesn't go stoop to the level of what Trump is doing.
But
and
oddly enough, I think Trump's superpower is to make you just go, fuck, I hate you, man.
You're just
and you just without thinking about it, you just drop down to that level because just the
but I love killing people with kindness, and I think there's a way.
Makes it hard, man.
I know, but there's got with the power he has, and then the only other thing I'll say with his network, and I'm sure LeBron does a ton for charity, but when the guy's worth, and this is only from me reading online, a lot of people are saying he's worth $400 or $500 million or something. A lot of people can't take people who are that wealthy that seriously sometimes. So I don't, and I just wonder what's the way to be hey, you know what? Here's $100 million, and I'm going to make sure that everyone gets out and votes, because Trump, I don't think, is ever going to get impeached. This fucking guy's like Teflon Don over there.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that it's going to be a landslide victory. I don't know. And maybe I'm being too optimistic or
I love your altruism.
It's all, I mean, maybe, but I'm just trying to show where my mind's become, where my mind's got to.
But there's always options, right? And you're trying to provide you're trying to take the higher road, which is what everyone.
I would
really
like to try to do. I don't know, because if not, it reminds me. All this shit reminds me of parents' divorce. And the only one gets affected are the fucking kids.
Yeah.
That's the only one that gets affected when the parents are fighting. They're going to court. They're spending all this fucking money. They're fucking accusing this, accusing that. And then nothing gets fucking solved except for the fact that the entire kid's college fund has got completely wasted because it's gone for paying for lawyers' bills and no one has won. So I want I want one side to win, the children, the next generation.
The Todd Shapiro Show.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. You can subscribe over there, or you can watch another video over here. And I think this is the Daniel Bryan yes chant. So what the hell? Yes, Todd Shapiro Show. Daniel Bryan can't wrestle anymore. It's a very sad story.